Welcome everybody. welcome back to ReZero. ReZero is back. Finally. I mean, I say finally, but I've probably like slept on it for around 3 to 4 weeks, so I'm sorry about that. I was busy. I didn't have the time, but now we go back into it. What happened last time? Last time when we left Core 1 of Season 3, we did have Subaru, our boy, and Reinhard crashing a wedding. Reinhard was literally kicking away the door and kicking it into Regulus, so that was great. I know there was a little bit of controversy about like Emilia waiting all this time, right? As if she was like, I'm sure Subaru's gonna come and save me, and some people don't like that because it's kind of like damsel in distress kind of deal. I personally, the way like reading the light novel, obviously, well, at this point it was the web novel, but anyway, it was definitely that Emilia prepared her magic and was ready to kind of defend herself. Now, we could argue that it is maybe naive to do so because Regulus is so powerful and whatnot, but then again, like, at the same time, you could be like, okay, it's naive to fight against anybody who is more powerful than me, so, right? And she wanted to, I guess, take her stand her moral ground, kind of. And I guess that's respectable in a way. If you feel like you can defend yourself for some time, if you think you are capable of doing that. Now, obviously, she could be maybe endangering all of the other, like, wives around her. That could be a decision that is fatal to some of them. So, maybe a little bit selfish of her, but at the same time, it really depends how this whole thing turns out. And I mean, she did what she thought was right, so that is that. And the rest of them are probably preparing the counterattack as well, because Subaru had a plan. I think Subaru had a plan. I think he did have a plan. And all the other constituents are obviously all around the city. We don't know where yet, and preparing to help in the effort of retrieving who was lost to us and making sure that all of these archbishops around the town don't do any more damage than they have already done, right? And wrest the control of the towers from them. We do have Capella, we do have Sirius, we do have Regulus, we do have, I think, I don't even know which gluttony. So we have Lei, I think, and we have the other, which I keep forgetting the name of. But yeah, we have all of those. All of the archbishops, well, not all of them, but a lot of the archbishops, including Subaru, who is not an archbishop, obviously, but he does have like the greed thing inside of him. We saw that in season 2. So yeah, let's see what this show has to offer. If there's a lot of animation and fighting, or if we're being a little bit sneaky and clever, we're gonna see. All right. Let's get this party started. ReZero episode 9 starts in 3, 2, 1. I'm also excited by the OP possible. What? Okay. Good start. Good start. Good start. Poor fucking Al. Shut your mouth.
あれは話さぬことが多い。もっとも 隠し事については貴様も言えた話ではあるまい。名義常。さあ、何のことな。白を切るなら好きにせよ。せいぜい己の騎士と見定めた
What does she mean?
して不格好な罪悪感を募らせておくがいい。嫌な言い方せんといて。それで作戦はあるん。つまらぬ小細工
Does he look like?
歌目を連れ堂々と正面から向かう。
I trust her. Same intro. Okay. Maybe you have new visuals, or maybe we don't. I wouldn't even mind, to be honest. Also, it's possible it comes next time, right? No, same visuals. Okay. That gives me some opportunity to actually talk about this. I love the design of her dress. Like, it's amazing. Already liked it in the light novel. It's a really good looking dress. Better than a normal one, right? Like, the black and the red, really good. I think it's cool that actually the OP shows scenes that are actually in the series and scenes that are not, so we don't quite know which is a spoiler and which isn't, which is cool, right? Just like a sample size of the animation. Okay, the city is terrified. Remember, Otto being the absolute goat. Oh yeah, that's the thing. Tome of Wisdom. Yeah, we... First of all, he looks like a vampire. Really cool. I never liked his design, but... What is she cooking up? And those two... They're always with her. How, we have no idea. However, so it's necromancy. And that was her sword. Garfield and his, like, idioms. He reminds me of that, he reminds me of that guy from Mushoku Tensei. Like that big demon guy. Oh. Yeah. And we have the confirmation that it's actually how we suspected. That heel in the frame. Then they need to keep him alive. Mm. And that is Raph.
ざわざこうして足を運んでいただいてごめんね。ありがとう。
And back in the church, everybody gets there.
最高に EMT って感想はともかくギリギリ間に合ったみたいだな。
People can't stop to geek out.
お前か。理解に苦しむよね。隣の赤毛ならまだしも僕を振り切って選ぶのが君なわけ。彼女の眼球ってガラス玉か何かなのかな。
宝石みたいって言えよ。あと隣と比較されると何も言えねえからやめろ。
なんだっけ、牽制。聞いたことはあるよ。剣を振るしか能のないやつの呼び名じゃなかった。
言い得て妙だね。ただ今はその役目を果たせるか少し怪しい。この龍剣はアストレア家の初代から伝わる。
Oh, this will piss him off, right?
なんだけど一つだけ欠点があってね。この剣を抜くのにふさわしい相手でない限り鞘から引き抜くことができないんだ。つまり
You're inadequate.
どうやら君では相手は務まらないというのが剣の結論らしい。
あのさ、牽制が剣も抜かずに何ができるわけ。うぬぼれる。
Super is laughing. I thought he was laughing. I would be laughing.
おかしな真似をすれば彼女たちの命はない。
この状況で肝が座ってるって話じゃねえよな。なんなんだこの人たち。
全員僕の大切な妻たちだよ。君たちが抵抗するなら僕は愛する彼女たちを殺さなくちゃならない。そんな残酷を強いるなんて悪魔だよ君たち。
Yeah, you forced me to do it, right?
会話が成立しね
直接手を
I love
下すの
that.
は僕かもしれない。だけどそうさせたのは君たちなんだ。それはもう僕という道具を使った君たちの殺人だ。この妻殺しどもめ。
私のこと忘れないでくれる？油断したわね。あなたの負けよ。
あのさ、
A little bit naive.
僕があいつらを追い詰めてたところじゃない。さすが旦那様って妻たちに証明する場面でしょ。
今すぐみんなを解放して。
え。ダメだエミリア、それじゃそいつは止まらない。
まったく。君を妻に迎えなくて正解だったよ。学校でおまけに男を立てることも知らない。心と体が処女だろうと意味がない。不埒な女め、僕の純情をもてあそんで。
やめろバカ野郎。
It's all externalization.
状況が見えてないの？それとも分かろうとする努力の放棄かな。
わかった。エミリア様から手を離すんだ。君の要求を聞こう。
そうそう、これだよ。これが謙虚な態度ってやつさ。星の剣を外してこっちへ来るんだ。そこまでだ。君にはそこで一度だけ僕の攻撃を受けてもらう。防ぐのも避けるのもなしだ。それで僕と君たちとの間のいさかいを帳消しにしよう。
わかった。受け入れたと。
ラインハルト、なんか考えがあるんだよな。信じてるぞ。
スバル、約束だ。僕の足りない部分を君が補ってくれるんだろう。
いい覚悟だ。君に敬意を払おう。
Trust. Trust.
どんな人間であれ訪れる死ってのはあっけないものだよね。君は満足して死ねたかい？潔かった彼と比べて君は随分と見苦しいね。人質がいるのが見えてないわけ？
それはおかしいな。
え？
君の話だと人質は解放してくれるはずだよ。
Yeah, keep your word, my dude. right, let's blow this thing open.
パテンカイタス。やはり都市庁舎で目撃された暴食の滞在司教とは別人でしたか。
Otto is smart.
僕たちだけでなく俺たちも知ってるのかな。
これは
Us, ourselves.
暴食は2人。いや、正確には最低2人いるってことですかね。
へえ、いい線いってるよお兄さん。それによく見たら前に僕たちが食べ損ねた前菜じゃないか。
おい、仲良くおしゃべりしてる場合じゃねえだろ。
本気でやんのか。相手は滞在司教だってんだぞ。
娘にパパって呼ばれる前に死にたくねえだろ。
そんな悲観的にならないでくれよ。どんな出会いも味を引き締める美食への一歩。暴食なんて言われちゃいるけど、俺たちも下ごしらえの大事さぐらい知ってるからさ。
Operation.
エミリア様のところの内政官か。お互い運がない。
主力と言えない編成で敵の主力と正面衝突とは。どんな
He really reminds me of a bat. That's right.
おいおい、喧嘩しないしない。どうせなら協力しておくれよ。僕たちの探し物に。俺たちが知りたいのは一個だけ。さっきのあの放送をした英雄の居所さ。
The hero.
その愛しい愛しい英雄が僕たちを裁きに来てくれるはずなんだよ。この小さな胸がそれを求めて高鳴って高鳴って張り裂けそうなのさ。
その人ならついさっきまで一緒でしたよ。
知ってる知ってるんだ。俺たちの英雄の居所を。愛しい
Our
愛しい
hero.
英雄の姿を。あの弱くて脆くて支えてあげないと不安で仕方ないあの人を。
はい。なんでしたらお連れしましょうか。僕も命は惜しいですし、命の保証さえしていただければ。
商人だな。やっぱりそうだ。物に値段をつけて他人に売り払って私腹を肥やす。人間の価値も思惑も全部はかりに乗せて金に換えるもんじゃない。騙されるもんか騙されないさ。
That made him upset.
みたいな奴らの話なんて聞くもんか。
なんで急に。
どうせ嫌な思い出でもあったんだろ。
所詮この世は暴飲暴食。
来るぞ。
いただきま
す。商人との商談は最後まで聞くものですよ。
Holy shit.
絶対に切り札があるから。
Speak with animals is coming once again in handy. One of them. I'm really curious about this team. I love the speech patterns. And of course we have the knight introduction. Big brother, huh?
ご無事ですか。エミリアさん、大丈夫か。
へっちゃら、ありがとう。私、スバルが来てくれるって信じてた。
俺もエミリアさんが俺を信じて待っててくれるって信じてたぜ。
Alright, Goran.
私、誰かと結婚するなら、それは私の好きな人とじゃないとダメだって思うもん。
だよね。よかった。安心したぜ。ところで
Those two goobers are literally the same.
スバル、その足。
ああ、これ
大丈夫なの？
見た目こんなだけど意外と平気なんだ。あ、それよりラインハルト、お前は大丈夫なのか？
ああ、大変。すぐ服を脱いで手当てするから。
心配かけてす
He's
みま
fine.
せん。ですが大丈夫です。ほら、傷はありませんから。
お前のことだからなんとかできんだろって思ってたけど、 方法が予想外すぎなんだよ。
信じてくれて嬉しかったよ。不死鳥の
That is what it's
蘇ら
about.
れたけど、実際ちょっと死んでいたからね。
ちょっと死んでいたからねじゃねえよ。
Bro's like, I died for a second, sorry.
すまない。あれが最善の手だと思ったんだ。まあ、できれば二度と死ぬのはごめんだけどね。
まあそりゃそうだよな。ところで、さっきまでの話を総合すると、この人たちって。
そう。レグルスの奥さんたちなんだけど、私それをすごく認めたくなくて。
あんな扱いされて幸せなお嫁さんなわけねえよな。
僕にあんな真似して和気あいあいってどういうこと？人間性が欠落してるにも限度があるでしょ。
なるほど。聞いていた通り、奇妙な手合いのようだ。
こいつは本格的に無敵のからくりを解かねえと話。
Bro's like, keep him busy.
スバル、打ち合わせ通り、僕が彼の相手をする。
You take care of the rest.
無敵の攻略法を。
よし、エミリアタン。
ねえ、あなた
So it's a battle of time.
ないわよね。私たちはここに残ります。どうして？足が痛いの？それなら私がおんぶしてあげる。旦那様からお許しを得ていません。旦那様のお許しなく勝手にすれば、旦那様のお怒りに触れることになります。
あんたたちがレグルスを恐れる気持ちはわかるけど、あいつは剣聖ラインハルトだ。必ずレグルスを倒す。
誰が相手でも同じことです。誰が旦那様に、レグルス・コルニアスにかなうものですか？
That is years of learning.
ラインハルト、作戦変更だ。
なんだよお前は。
作戦変更。スバル、中にいた女性たちは。
何これ、お前どっから声出てんの？
Bro, this is not important right now.
見える距離の友人ぐらいになら声を届けられる。
どんどん人間離れするな。とにかく作戦変更だ。作戦愛から実行する。
Plan B it is.
随分と馬鹿げた力の持ち主みたいだけど、頭が残念じゃ宝の持ち腐れってやつだよね。
確かに。だからここから先は少しだけ回りくどい方法を試させてもらう。
I love this.
待って、どうするつもりなの？
It's so satisfying to see him being beat up.
大胆。
だってこのドレス可愛いけど動きづらくて。それよりラインハルトに何をさせる気なの？
ここに来る前に考えてた作戦の一つ。レグルスの無敵をどう破るか見極めないとだからね。考えられる可能性を一個ずつ潰していくって寸法だよ。
Trial and error.
悪いのはレグルスだ。だから俺はあんたたちを責めたりはしない。だけどこれだけは言わせてもらうぜ。だからどうしたってそう言わなきゃ何も始まらねえよ。目は開けてなきゃダメだ。まぶたの裏側には見たいもんも明日も何もないんだから。
スバル、行きましょう。私たちも戦わなくちゃ。
Alright, let's go, team. Meanwhile, Lust is just incubating or something. Ouch. Seeing us again. Yeah, that's right. Dig deep.
夫は兄たちだって待ってんだ。戦うしか俺にはできねえだろうがよ。ガビル殿、上を。色欲じゃねえ。
The fuck happened? I don't remember this.
力を合わせてこの都市を守ろう。
私たちの街を取り戻すのよ。
さあ、正義のための決戦だ。
なんてね。
Oh, now I remember. Of course. City in Chaos. Oh, that's it already. Holy. I mean, of course, we have to reestablish. I love the ZD. It's really great. Better than the OP. Alright. That was ReZero. Episode 9 of Season 3. We are back! I accidentally closed this one. So I need to get it back up again. Let's do this right here. Yeah, a couple of things to start out on. I think it's very interesting, and that was going through my head when I was going through the ED and just jamming along. I think it's very interesting, the discourse that people who are fans of the series have had across like these 3 seasons, where we do see that people go into ReZero for different reasons and are like it for different reasons. Some people are like, oh, it's all about like the deaths, it's all about like the trauma, right? Like the insane shit that keeps happening. And as soon as we go away from that, we are getting into territory where some people would call it boring or like not special, because that return by death element is taken away. But there's also people who really love how the development of the show goes as we move through the seasons, which is my perspective as well. I do really love how we go from like season 1, which was a lot of deaths, like a ton of deaths, so just mind-numbing trauma sometimes happening to Subaru and him having to restart over and over and grind it out, to season 2, which the first core of it was a decent amount of deaths and like dead ends and whatnot that he had to fight himself out of and realize certain things, but also that we shifted the focus from Subaru and his personal trauma to the crew, right? Like Emilia especially, but also like people like Garfield, Otto, whatever. All of them kind of like got more of a highlight, even Roswell. And we went into this on the level of what really moves those people, what really damages those people psychologically, right? What got them to the point that they were at this point in time, and how to like what their motives are, what their weak points are, and all of that. And we actually also move into a phase where we have to absolutely not die, because we said we put everything on the line, right? It was a wager. I think even the episode was called that when Subaru brings that wager to Roswell. But yeah, and that was a lesson learned, right? The lessons learned basically with the Witch's Tea Party and everything, that we learned, hey, I need to rely on other people. I need to like not see my death as the vehicle which to fix everything, but I need to at least make an attempt and have to make sure that my sanity keeps being there as well. If you watch the Greed If, for anybody who's like anime only and is or read the Greed If for anybody who's anime only and doesn't know what that is, the author for a couple of years, at this point he doesn't do it anymore, but for a couple of years he had stories that he cooked up for the anniversary. I think it was Subaru's birthday or something like that, right? The first story, alternate reality kind of story he cooked up, was kind of just a joke, where he like, that was kind of like the Subaru harem end, right? And it's unofficially been called the Love If, but no, not the Love, I don't know, like the Envy If, I don't know, like it was like a harem alternate reality kind of thing. But any subsequent year he would bring out a story which would represent kind of like a twist in Subaru's road, right? Kind of a fork that Subaru didn't go down. It was not always made clear which road he didn't go down specifically, but we the couple of decisions that he made, right? The decision points that led to a certain future, right? Led to a certain end that the main series is not following. And it always revolved around a certain sin, right? And if you look at the greed one, it is a story that kind of symbolizes what would have happened to Subaru if he didn't learn that lesson of, yeah, I'm important too, right? Like my sanity, it's important that when I arrive at that goal that I've saved everybody I could save, right? Because like obviously you can't save everybody, but try as hard as you can and save everybody you can. When he arrives at that point, that he needs to be capable of actually living in that reality and not be absolutely dead on the inside. And that's very important. We learned that lesson in season 2, and now we're in season 3 where we mix it up again, right? In the beginning, like in the core here, like in the beginning of core 1, we did have a couple of devs, but they followed with, okay, now shit happened, right? And we kind of can't revert because we don't know where we would be reverting back to, right? So Subaru is going his way of like just trying to uphold this reality and find a way to save as many people as he can of the civilians as well as the people important to him in order to come out of this mostly undisturbed and give it a real shot, right? Because nothing is unrecoverable. I mean, he still believes that Rem can be saved eventually, right? So there is this idea of like, no, I'm gonna go my way if I don't get killed, right? And if it's not like I lose everything, then I'll continue down that road and try to find a way to make it work, which I really love as like a character development kind of thing, because we're now like one core into season 3 and we realize that, yeah, a lot of bad shit has happened, but we're still trying to turn this thing around. And I think that's a really great thing. And for me, that makes the series better rather than worse. Right? Some people say like, no, we don't return. Why doesn't he just return? Right? Like that's a stupid idea and whatnot. I would just reset. It's easy, right? But this is like the character development we had, and I think it makes sense on like a logical level. It makes sense on the level of just like his own sanity and just like what lessons he learned, right? That he has to rely on other people. That he can't just redo everything, right? Because at some point in time, what is the viable reason to redo? Is it a character dying? Is it a character losing an arm? Is it somebody losing their memories? Can you really go through everything so many times that everything is perfect and still retain your own integrity as a character, retain your own sanity? And instead of going the Roswell round of like being like, right, sacrifice everything to just reach that one goal, we're going the route of, yeah, we'll play it as we go, right? But we'll do the best that we can. And obviously, if it gets too bad, we can still try to reset if we have to. But we'll just accept what is here and try to not lose things. Because, well, if you don't really lose things entirely when you lose them, it's very easy to just lose your feeling of importance for them, right? Like somebody dies, like whatever, right? I can get them back. Or like, and then you can be a little bit complacent, right? You can try out new things, experiment, and suddenly you're at a new save point, and the thing that you thought would be reversible is not reversible after all. Isn't it better than to go into something and be like, we'll take it as, like, we'll do it as well as we can, right? The first time around. And if it doesn't work out and I myself die, obviously, okay, we got to do it again. But as long as I'm alive, as long as like Emilio's alive, right? I think that's his perspective at the moment. I'll play this. I'll play this game and try to do it as well as I can. But yeah, we're starting off strong. We're starting off this episode really strong. I love this. Like, it seems Liliana is also kind of like not too opposed to Priscilla and all of that. I mean, they hit it off pretty well in the last core as well. So, but this is some service too. But she doesn't seem to mind. We have like a little bit of relaxed moment as we're preparing to go full blown into the episode, which is actually really funny. And we do have like us talking about just who's gonna go where and what we're gonna do. Priscilla wants to confront Raph and takes Liliana with her, which makes kind of sense, right? Because Liliana sang that song earlier and kind of brought people back almost. So it's really cool. I think she has something cooking up, definitely. And yeah, like I said, I absolutely love this this outfit. I don't know if we've seen it completely yet, but even just like look at the top with like the black collar and the stripes going out and like the I don't know how you call them, like the one finger gloves and whatever. Like it's very stylish, very stylish. It looks a lot more like elegant than the other one, right? The other one looks more like a bird puffing up the feathers and whatnot, and this looks more like sleek. Yeah. But yeah, very, very curious what she's gonna cook up. Obviously, I know a couple of these things, right? And other things I have forgotten and whatnot. He looks so much like a bat. He looks so much like a bat, especially like on top of that. I don't know what it is. I think it's a statue of like one of the water dragons, which Otto later uses to attack him. So it's really cool. Feeding ground. Obviously, it's all about food. It's all about food. And she is cocooning. I mean, no, she's not cocooning. It's actually not her. It's a decoy, which is absolutely funny. It also makes perfect sense with her abilities and whatnot. We have Theresia versus Wilhelm, and we have Garfield versus Mr. 8-armed guy. Right. Remember Mimi, and we're like Garfield putting out another idiom and being all combative. They're gonna steal their resolve. He has a really cool design, right? Like a foreign warrior kind of deal, right? Especially also with the setup and whatnot, like the gloves he has. I'm liking the animation so far, right? Like the push into the camera, right? And then past the camera, we're panning up. We're not reverse shotting it. This is okay. Look, I'm sorry, but look at this. Look at this shit. It's like his face is a scar, basically. I guess it's like the signifier, right? And the eyes would be smaller, but it's still hilarious. And going on with the kick, and this guy digging in, even like just putting two of his hands behind his back as if he's not going in full throttle, like taking it a little bit easy. Putting the sword, like the other two swords, to the side. It's almost like there's an honor code between them. I do wonder if that exists, or if there's like sparks flying between Willem and Theresia, of course. Yeah, the animation is well done, right? I do say that. I mean, it's not top notch, as in like, holy shit, what is that? I've never seen it, or like Ufotable style, but it is very, very well done. I love these like flashes of light that are happening here. Like the sword definitely lights up, so I wonder if that is some kind of effect that's happening here. Love how we bent the sword, right? And we have a feint going in, but oh, this is such a cool pose of Willem, right? Kneeling down, right? And then we got the locks of red hair coming out, tied behind. I said that during the episode. Great shot, right? You have like the gate in view, right? Like the imposing walls and whatnot. It's slightly bent with like a lens effect, and then she steps into the frame like she's taking it over, basically. It's really cool. Yeah, and we talk about the maniac, and she's like a little bit embarrassed about that. I do wonder if there's something going on from her side as well, right? So far we know he's crazy about her, but we don't know how it is the other way around, right? And she's maybe this is just her being like expressing that she's worried about him. And we talk a little bit about like the tome of wisdom earlier that we talked about, and also just trying to find out what they want with it. And then we talk a little bit more about it because Kiritaka actually knows the information. So if they would be acting logically, right, that is always provided they act logically, they want him and want to keep him alive for him to give them the information. The question is if they act logically, because as we see Raph, for example, I mean, obviously Raph, Greed, whatever, they're all kind of partially acting according to the gospel, right? They have like the books that tells them the future, basically, where they're like, okay, this is what I need to do. The question is, what does it really do? Does it tell them, like, we talked about this, I think in the past, it's like, does it tell the future what kind of actions they would take to reach the future they want to reach? Or is it like, oh, this is clearly what's gonna happen, right? Or, right, because they're the defective copies, supposedly, according to Roswell. So there's the question, in which way are they defective? Are they defective just not doing the right thing? Or are they defective in the way that, like, the way we interpret their meaning, right? Like, if I go there and I'm like, okay, this is definitely gonna happen, I misinterpret that, and in reality this is my step-for-step, my step-for-step instruction, what I have to do, what I have to achieve to actually make what I want happen, right? Like, it can be kind of read in a lot of different ways. She is excited, and I'm excited too, right? Just by her great particle effects, by the way. Amazing. Alright. And we pan over to the light, like to the dark blue of the moon. And Subaru geeks out immediately, but then stops himself. He's like, wait, I'm not here to geek out. I'm here to fight. Cheating. He's like, yo, so she's cheating with you. This is like such a idiotic expression, but it's like his entire speech, right? First of all, he puts him down and he's like, this dude I would understand, right? But this dude, what the fuck? This is an insult to me. Which I guess, like, I think it's very cool that both Reinhardt and Subaru are the kind of person who's like, yeah, you're kind of right, but still, right? And and that's kind of like just the absolute disarmament of his down talking, basically. He's just trying to put them down, and they're like, I'm already here. Can't put me down more. I'm not feeling bad about that. That's just a fact. Yeah. I guess great. Like, you need to come from a place of confidence to actually say that, right? To be like, okay, yeah, you just pointed out one of my flaws. That's a flaw. Yeah. I'm not gonna deny that. Doesn't mean I'm not worthy of love, right? And that's like what comes with just learning lessons and being loved by people and being supported by people. And learning that is okay, right? That it is okay not to be a perfect human being and to be liked anyway, right? I mean, look at me. But yeah, his entire speech, like Regulus's entire speech, is built on externalization, right? Nothing that ever happens is nothing bad that ever happens is his fault, and everything good that happens is due to him. Right? So something good happens to you, it was through his grace because he allowed it to happen. Something bad happens, or he does something bad, right? You force him to do it, right? You talk badly about some of his actions, you're clearly violating his rights, right? I talked about it a lot. I mean, this is like textbook narcissistic behavior. And especially you realize that a lot when Reinhardt says something like, sorry bro, like my sword doesn't think you're worthy opponent. This is the thing that triggers him the most, because it actually makes it seem like he is inadequate, right? And that he can't have that image in the head of anybody, right? He can't, right? And he will try to beat you into submission until you admit to him that he's better than you, right? Even if that's not the case, right? Like, he's trying to force that, like a little Trump, just more stylish. But yeah, I don't know, like it's, yeah, nothing is ever his fault. Everything is always everybody else's fault, right? He's a murderer. He's whatever you want to call him, right? He does terrible atrocities. You forced him to do it, right? It's not his fault. The blood is on your hands, not his. His vest is quite literally white, right? His hands are clean. I think it's great how they displayed his faces. Some people have been like, oh no, I don't like how they like displayed my boy Regulus. He doesn't look cool enough. And I'm like, he's stylish, right? But I think displaying somebody like him as too cool kind of betrays his character, right? Because Regulus is not based, okay? Like, no matter how much you want to think Regulus is based and cool and whatnot, and no matter how much, like, maybe a couple of, like, female fans are into, like, Regulus's style, I recommend you not getting close to that. Like, holy shit. Like, don't even try to. Oh, I love that. I didn't even see, like, Subaru, like, jumping in unison with Reinhardt. That's absolutely great. I love how his face contorts in, like, almost fear of what's about to happen, because he's not quite sure of himself. Despite, like, projecting that to the outside, like, right? And oftentimes just thinking that, or later on when Reinhardt dies, basically being like, yeah, I knew he was gonna die. He didn't know, and then he was too self-assured, and then he realized soon later that it wasn't the case, and that made him more insecure, which made him, like, try to project even more that he has the upper hand, right? And then he retorts to violence. I don't know if it's exactly then. I think it's when she actually attacks him, because it's like, yeah, how cruel and monstrous you are to yeah, it's all of that. But I love the speech patterns. Like, all of the archbishops have their own kind of unique speech patterns, their own kind of, like, frenzy that they get themselves into. His frenzy is obviously very much self-centered narcissism, and blame of everybody else but himself, which yeah, I mean, shows itself in everything he talks about is himself, right? It's all about himself. Somebody sneezes, it was an affront to him, right? Like, and that's what you notice, not, like, obviously not with everybody, but with a lot of people who have, like, high narcissism, and doesn't even need to be narcissistic personality disorder, but just, like, rate very high on narcissism. It's oftentimes like they project everything onto themselves, right? Like, I mean, obviously, if somebody makes mistakes, it's always somebody else's fault. But what I mean is, like, if somebody talks in a certain way that could be, like, that's kind of neutral, or negative, or whatever, it's directed at them, right? That somebody laughs in the corner, it's like, are you laughing at me? Right? That's the immediate response kind of deal. And it's very, yeah, I don't know. The sharp glint of the... I love these shots. These shots are really, they go really hard. Like, even the framing with her on the side here, right? Like, the earlier framing was cool too, right? Like this one where she's almost smack dab the middle, she has a little bit to the left, and the sword is going in, like, into the right corner of the screen. And then we have this other one where he is in focus, and she's, like, just at, like, she's framing him in, basically, but directing the sword towards him, and our eyes are directed by the direction of her hand pointing, and we do see his face. That is the main thing we're supposed to be focused on. Her stepping into the frame further, right? Like, she was a little bit out of the frame before that, right here, and then she's stepping just a little step into the frame, which means she's not backing down, but she's doubling down on her point. But she's also, like, relatively naive. Subaru distracts her out of like a fear for her, and then he goes in and he's like, "You foolish girl." Interesting that first time I noticed actually that Emilia has a similar necklace now to like what Priscilla has been wearing. It could just be a design thing for like the person who like designed the outfits and whatnot. And Reinhardt going at this diplomatic way, he's like, this is the easiest way to resolve it. Bro thinks he had me killed, right? Because like that's his calculus. He's like, I'm gonna kill him anyway with one, and I promised to let her go, but now he is dead, so I don't have anything to fear anymore, and I can just assert my power and say, well, I don't care, I don't need to listen to you, right? But he doesn't calculate in that Reinhardt is literally God. Or blessed by God. Let me say it like that. Blessed by the world. Subaru catching himself yet another girl. Teehee. And we have that. I don't know if I like that, to be honest, right? That it's just like, it's a little bit of a simple, like, just zoom in shot with like a... I like these effects, right? The particle effects, like the shining thing, but the initial thing, I don't like that, right? The zooming in and like the initial like strike down, I didn't like that animation all that much. Transitions weren't like all that great either, right? Like it's just a simple, like just a simple hard cut to something else. Must be a different gluttony from the city hall. You know, not only us but also ourselves. Very interesting how we like have like us and ourselves, right? It's almost like I and self, right? These two are two different things. Interestingly enough, in psychodynamic theories, like in some psychodynamic theories, I think it's like self or maybe it's I psychology, like me psychology or I psychology. I don't know how you call it in English, but it's Ich Psychologie in German, right? Which goes back to Jung, and I think that like the self is also a separate part from the I, which is very interesting. Like that the construct of the self as being separated from I as like me, my I guess my like we do have like the concepts in Freudian psychology of like the it, the I, and the super I, right? Like the super I being like society's norms and rules, and the it being like our impulses, our like desires and whatnot, and the I being basically the institution basically inside of us who's supposed to just like consolidate both of them and just carry that out into the world. The self would be more of a concept of the self in that sense, right? How do we see ourselves? How do we know? Do we see people see us? It's very interesting how we differentiate these two terms. So I think I is maybe I is referring to him and ourselves is referring to like the other one. Not quite sure who is who, but it's very interesting, and I do wonder what that tells us, if that is actually a like maybe even a like an intentional parallel for like psychology, or is it just chosen just like that, right? To have like two terms for me. You're not too far off when he says there must be two of you. Closer, you're the appetizer we never got to savor. Appetizer we never got to say. Oh yeah, earlier he ran away, right? Yeah, he actually got away. Felt like we gotta fight him. I love this shot, right? Like the two parties standing opposite of each other, and he's in the middle, right? Like out of the focus at the moment, but yeah. And we pan over, we see like the battlefield, and as he takes action and steps into the frame, like not in the frame, but as he steps into action, we actually defocus the background and focus him doing what he's doing, and he's talking to them, which is really cool as a technique. This is a very interesting thing to talk. What great frame, by the way, right? Him like taking in most of the frame and then putting the hand out to the audience, basically. See what I'm doing? See what I'm doing? That's what he's doing, right? It's great. He takes in a lot of like space, so also takes in a lot of attention, and his hands as agents of change, as agents of, in this case, agents of chaos, right? Agents of destruction. He puts them out, right? Openly, like he's got you in the palm of his hands, basically. beloved hero is supposed to come and judge us. I mean, he's clearly dealing with information he probably got from Rem, right? Because he was the one who attacked Rem. So, but he's like, it's very interesting how is he getting into character oftentimes almost, right? Like it's all a play, right? And he's just like taking on these different identities almost. I do wonder if that has something to do with like satisfaction that he has, where it's like, because he calls all of these people, their memories and whatnot, he calls them meals. So maybe like this is like this going into that mode is actually like him eating something he's eaten before, right? Like he's tasting it again. It's not the same as eating it for the first time. That's obviously the highest of the high. If you eat something high quality you've never tried before for the first time. But obviously it is something that's more on the level of like, hey, I really like this food. Let me eat it again today, right? I'm really in the mood for it. And his tongue coming out. Again, looks a lot like a bat here. Him trying to like be diplomatic and whatnot, but that triggered something and he just switches characters kind of. So I wonder if that is some memory he has, right? Because obviously he's eaten a lot of people, so I wonder if that's some kind of memory he thinks back on as like another person who had made really like bad experiences with merchants, and that's how it, right? Also really cool how he's extending his arm out of the frame, right? That is kind of putting out that connection to him. And we're almost taking you over the whole frame as his teeth come out. Right? Devolving into a beast almost. Time to dig in. I know you don't you don't pronounce the su. I just did it because I wanted to. And there we have the surprise. I wonder, like, this is kind of weird. Aren't they coming out in front of... Yeah, they're coming out in front of Otto and suddenly they're behind him. Like, behind Gluttony. I do wonder if it's, like, from both sides, actually, or if it's, like, just an error that put it like that the animators made. I don't want to say it's an error. I don't think so. Cool. Focus pull. Look at that. Focus pull. Foot in the frame. We do that a lot. But he's looking from like almost from back there. He's like, oh, you're here as well? Right. Nice. Both united front. And we have the speech patterns, which is really cool. And we have the same as we had with Lai just now, right? Where he extends his hand and the hand takes in a lot of the frame. We see the sharp claws and he himself, like, he's advancing into the frame, kind of. I don't like these, like, kind of weird, like, sound waves that are coming when people scream. I like this pull, actually. Really cool pull. And him going past the camera, right? We're going in with the Alclosaria, or whatever it's like, Clarista, whatever. And he's like, Nissan, and that gives Julius a pause. That gives Julius a pause. It's kind of uncanny, right? We don't know where his brother is right now. Yeah. And we're catching up. I believe that you'd come for me. That is kind of nice. That is a little bit, but bless her heart. Blind trust. Trust Subaru. I mean, Subaru trusted Reinhardt as well, but that's a different story. Right, and we're geeking out, and those two are just on the same wavelength. It's just, sometimes it's ridiculous. He's like, by the way, is for this someone you love. And she's like, oh, wait, let me bring up something else. Let me just... I mean, I believe her that she's just an airhead, and she just doesn't really listen to him, and then she's like, oh, wait, what? You hurt your leg. What the hell? But yeah, it's not as bad as it looks. He can clearly walk. That is a goofy frame. That is a cartoon frame. I can't get over this frame. Divine protection of the Phoenix. Bro has so many divine protections, he needs a divine protection of knowing all divine protections, okay? Like... Alright, and they are still, like, adhering to what is being told to them, because they have seen that probably countless of times, right? Dozens of times, where it's like, somebody's like, don't worry, I'll defeat them, and then they die anyway, right? And anybody who disobeyed in the process of that is going to be like, you know what? I saw you disobeying. You're out, right? I mean, to be fair, for her, it's kind of like waning, right? We are at the stage that sometimes she's like, I'd rather die. So like she purposefully disobeys to tick him off to die. But then in other moments, she still got that indoctrination, and she's like, right? So she isn't gonna get hurt, because obviously he doesn't have to kill them necessarily. He can also just hurt them, which is probably the more scary option. Really cool how she comes into the frame. Right. So it's not just about being happy, right? But I understand, right? I feel with you, right? It's not just like, even if they themselves are like, no, I'm fine like this. This is like not a life. This is not a life when you're being controlled by somebody else completely. Right now, it's just like, I got you, Subaru, my boy. You figure out that thing. I'm gonna kick this idiot around until you do. And here we have like the compassion and everything. She's like, nah, I'll stay here. Right? That is experience, right? Being drilled into you over and over. You have your hopes get up, and you're like, yes, maybe this guy can defeat him. And then he's dead anyway. And you get punished for not for believing it, basically. Regul's like is like, what are you? And Reinhardt is like, look, don't look at me, it's not my fault. I think they're drawing him a little bit sharper than they did in like Core 1. Great if they do. I don't know exactly. I never cared that much about it. I think especially when he's doing stuff, and holy shit, I want to see that again. That kick into the back. Yeah, you ruin his spine. You rearrange it. What was... I didn't even... Oh, okay. He's like... broken joke around even in these moments. But yeah, they got some plans. If you don't say that, nothing's gonna change. You won't find what you want to see on the insides of your eyelids, right? You won't, nothing will change if you close your eyes in front of that. Which is true, but also it's easier said than done, of course. But Subaru actually speaks from the place of somebody... They don't know that, but he speaks from the place of somebody who made such experiences before. Not exactly like they did, but in the experience of like standing in the face of despair, right? So I think he has more authority to talk about that than some other people would, right? Like somebody like Reinhardt, who just would be coming in, but he's never been like facing something like that, being powerless. God, I love that. And her eyes are absolutely dead. It's like she's a marionette being controlled. And I guess like maybe that's one of the reasons why older Wilhelm, right, not peak Wilhelm, can still hold up to her. Yeah, this is not looking good. Like, this is looking really grim. I love how we're like using the air and whatnot, that Garfield is somebody like who's really moving a lot, right? We do see that he's not just like raw strength, but especially when he is in his human form, he's also just trying to be very technical and skillful. But yeah, he gets stopped dead in his tracks over here, and yeah, that is devastating, honestly. I'm just phasing in and out of that like fear. I think like green yellow is a really good color for that, right? Because it's like that resonates with me if I think about stuff like fear and like panic and like self-doubt. I think that's a really good color to represent that. And yeah, this is... I don't know what fell on them, right? It's some kind of cocoon. I don't know what it's gonna do, but... I forgot that for a moment, but like I should have known when like we have like the face changing shadows going on. She opens the door and then she's like, "Surprise, motherfucker!" City in chaos. They're like weird, like very a very artistic and screen. Really interesting. Yeah. All right, that was ReZero, episode 9 of season 3. I had a lot of fun watching that. I think we're gonna get into episode 10. I don't know how long I can talk for episode 10, but we'll get into it and we'll check it out, right? But before that, I need to eat a little bit. Alright, ReZero episode 10 of season 3 starts in 3, 2, 1. I might stop, I might skip the intro, by the way. No. Do we get more exposition about the plot? Ooh. Phil is getting angry. But obviously he's not a combatant. This is like body horror 101. Don't let it get to you, Felix. Ooh. Come on, Elle, where are you? Ooh, why do you want to know that? Ooh! Anastasia? Hello? Smart.
今はこの都市の代表代理ってとこやね。
Oh, good acting, Felix, by the way.
そしたら歓迎の準備もせん商人なんてこの世に一人もおらんよ。
Magic. Nice. You're not gonna fight her? Come on, we need to see what Elle has to show for her.
安心しろや。俺の美意識もてめえに容赦する気はねえ。今日の俺は機嫌が悪いんだ。俺が死ぬ前にとっとと帰れや。軟体生物。
Before you die? I'm sorry, what? Bro, you're talking in riddles. I mean, you're already one-upping the archbishops, I guess. Implying that when he dies, shit goes down. Al? Should we know something? Do we want to know? We do want to know. Alright, back to those two. Time to rearrange your face.
の問題じゃないってさ。殴り続けてれば勝てるなんて子供の発想だよ。
No, he's just keeping you busy.
なのかそれとも僕をバカにしてるのかな。
なら別の手段に付き合ってもらうよ。まずは第一弾だ。作戦愛だったかな。
お前ふざけんなよ。
エミリアタンお願い。
All right, she's been filled in. Ooh, that's cool animation. What? I'm sorry. What? That's some crazy ass shit. Bury him like the witch. Seeing if he can drown, right?
よっしゃーイケボチャ略して作戦愛成功。
これでやっつけられたらいいんだけど。
危ない。
You poor buildings.
さてこれで一番面倒なやつ
No,
片
yeah.
付いたよ。君本当に人の話を聞かない女だな。何をしても無意味なんだよ。僕は完璧な完成された人間だ。
Of course you
出
are.
された僕にこれ以上もこれ以下もない
満。たされてるなんてあなた大嘘つきだわ。あなたの言ってることは欲しい欲しいもっと欲しいってすごく身勝手なことばっかりだもの。
え？
満たされてるなら奥さんたちをもっと大事にして。あんな風に縛り付けてそれで諦めさせてそれからわかった。私あなたのこと大嫌いだわ。
What kissed his face?
エミリアタンよく言ったけど一旦下がろう。でもあいつの無敵のからくりが解けないうちは倒せない。俺たちがやらなきゃいけないことを間違え
What is Regulus doing? He's
私すごく嫌な予感がするんだ
what
けど。
the fuck? What? How? What?
俺もだ。
What is this?
そら避けれるものなら避けてごらんよ。
Ooh, no. Those are like droplets of water. That's not even ice. Alright, I guess we're going skating.
エミリアタンすげえ賢いかわいい。
バカなこと言ってないの。制御が難しいから。
たまにさいるんだよね。君らみたいな自分を特別と勘違いしてるやつ。
Bro's power striding. It is. It is.
美精霊の子を一人つけるから頑張れる。
任せて。これでもガキの頃は表情のプリンセスって。
I'll give you props for the attempt, okay? I give you props for the attempt.
ひたすら急所。慎みってものがない女だな。君は花嫁に不適格だ。
言ったでしょ。あなたの花嫁にはならない。私きっと笑えなくなるもの。
エミリアタン。
He doesn't want you to smile. I think that was your mistake, my dude.
ありがとうスバル。
大丈夫約束。あ、それより作 冷えと頸痛、急所と金敵もダメか。
That was the
そ
plan.
の弱点どこだよ。
そんなものはないっていい加減気づけよ。
Because you keep shouting that it doesn't exist. Bro, this is the weirdest. These are the weirdest powers. How is anybody supposed to figure out how that works?
待たせてすまない。どこまでも馬鹿げてるな君。
Bro's just wielding water like it's a surface.
作戦時。
バカが。
Ooh, expose him to his own powers? That was actually a good plan.
ダメか。そう考え方が悪い。発想が間違ってるか。エミリアタ、何でもいいヒントが欲しい。あいつに捕まってる間、どんなことがあった？
どんなこと？まず少女？それかどうか。
Zubra's gonna get mad.
奥さんたちを番号で呼んでて、それを悪い王様みたいって言ったら、あの子は小さな王様。小さな王って。
小さな王。
Zubra's gonna get some epiphany.
シリウス、カペラ、アルファルト、ペテルギウス、全部俺が知ってる星の名前なんだ。レグルスはラテン語で小さな王。でも別名があって。
スバル。
エミリア、聖堂であいつに首掴まれてたよな。その時なんだけど、あいつの手は熱かったか、それとも冷たかったか。
何も感じなかった。熱くも冷たくも、まるで何にもないものに触られてたみたいに。
何にもないもの。ラインハルト！
I mean, apparently he has it.
動いてるか確かめてくれ！
His heart, huh? Is he a vampire? And we're back here.
フンドの滞在司教、驚かせてごめんね。今夜は街のあちこちが真っ暗でしょ。なのでちょっぴり背伸びして明るくしてみたんです。なんだ意外と話せるお人じゃありません。
She's like, hey, you're nice.
誤解してたかもしれませんよ。嬉しいことを言ってくださいますね、お嬢さん。人と人とは分かり合える。互いに手を結び合えば。そうでしょ。そう、まさしく。やっぱりそれって愛ですよね。そうです。愛です。愛なのです。
Ooh, here we are.
ここまで効果できめんとはな。感受性が強いのも考えものか。
Highly receptive, huh? Alright. Alright, spell broken. That's your problem.
正気に戻るきっかけとそれ以上の快楽があったじゃろうが。まあお二人は愛し合っているのですね。そうです。
You don't.
愛とはつながりを。茶番はやめよ。聞くに耐えん。
I love you, Priscilla.
さっきまでの新規感はどこへ。なんてひどいことを。彼女は私と同じ愛の道を歩み始めていたのに、周りを見てください。あの人たちは集められた町の住人であろうよ。ご覧なさい、この光景を。
Alright, let me see how she handles that. Ooh, out comes the sword.
貴様の賛同者たちは命を危うくしてまで愛の証明に付き合うつもりはないようじゃな。あれらを正気に戻せ。それが歌目である貴様の役目じゃ。やれなくば死ぬるのみ。貴様の
Go, get to singing.
がかかると思え。誉れであろう。
あなた初めてお見かけする人種ですね。そう。
She's immune.
そう。あなたと分かり合うことこそがこたびの私への試練なのでは。
I think that's impossible.
私は魔女教滞在司教フンド担当シリウス・ロマネ・コンティ。不変の愛であなたを包みましょう。この試練を乗り越えた時、私はあなたの愛に焼かれるでしょう。
わらわの気は長くない。急げよ、歌目。
Just do it. Liana, just do it. She can fight. Ladies and gentlemen, she can fight. Go on, brave soldier. Ooh, I love that speed.
こんなに固くなな方は初めてですよ。あなたの心をこんなにも固く閉ざしたのは一体何が原因なのでしょう。
貴様にわらわの胸の内を明かすなど不可能よ。
できはしないと私が諦めてしまえば世界は闇。私はあなたを救いたいのです。弱みを見せないことが強くあることだと思い違いしていませんか。他者とつながり
She's prodding.
寄り添うことで初めて見える頂もあるのです。
よくもまあ臆面もなくペラペラと妄想を。
ではこんな思考はいかが。アイリスとイバラの王。
Okay, that gave her halt. But I think it made her angry. Oh? I like that look.
勘違いするなよ、ケンセイ。遊んでやってたのは僕の心の広さと余裕のおかげ。
Of course you were.
でも優しい僕にだって限度があるんだからさ。
どうやらスバルの推測は正しかったらしい。
空に落ちる気分を味わったことはあるかな。ラインハルト、
スバル、君の推測で正しい。彼の心臓は動いていない。
Emilia's face.
つまり少し戻るのに手間取る。
Bro is literally being sent to the moon like Saitama.
ラインハルト、
スバル、次は私たちの番。どう戦うの？
エミリアだ。耳貸して。
ちゃんと返してね。
You better talk fast.
今度こそ命乞いの相談かな。あのさ、今さら僕が
さ、気づいてるか？お前、今確実に詰められてるんだぜ。
This is gonna upset
聞かせ
him.
てやるよ。お前には聞く権利がある。ほら、好きだろ、権利。
Barking.
聞く権利？ああ、なんせ自分がどうやって負けるのか知らないで負けたら悔しくって死んじまうだろ。お前、勝つよ。あいつに吠え面かかせてね。その後、もう一回お姫様抱っこさせて。
バカ。
All right. Let's go. smoke screen.
任すとか大口叩いておいてまたこれ永遠に攻撃してれば僕が根負けするとでも
レグルス俺はお前の剣能の正体を知ってるぞ
Big words.
面白いこと言うじゃないか君なんかが僕を理解したとか言い出すわけ待て君79番はどこへやった答えなよ79番ださっきまで君が持っていこうとして
うわ本気で奥さん番号で呼んでる事実にドン引きだわつうか答えると思うなんで頭お気楽トンボなのそれとも必死で話題そらしてんの
いいさ言ってみなよいや君みたいな人間の言葉信じる価値はないけどさ僕は慈悲深いんだ慈悲深いねどうした話さないの
Like a fiddle.
話せないのかなその場しのぎの嘘っぱちだっていうのなら
いや答えてやるよレグルスお前の剣能の正体それは
Is it gonna get
ゲ
revealed?
ームプレイ中のスタートボタンってやつだ
He doesn't get it. You will not get it, but
獅子の心臓そう言い換えてもいいぜ答え合わせはなあその顔を見りゃ十分だな
the battle against greed. Okay, we revealed it. I still have no fucking idea how that translates to all the other stuff that he does. I mean, I know, like I've researched it when I read it, and it doesn't make sense. But maybe they have a good explanation. So we'll wait for that. All right, good. And this time I could actually stop it. Let's wrap it up a little bit. Going back through this, a lot of animation, a lot of cool animation. I really like some of like the lighting we're using here, like the dimly lit lighting is perfect for this specific scene. When I imagined it in the light novel, I thought daytime, right? Or I mean, at least night on the inside. It's still pretty bright, but no, we have like darkly lit hallways and all of that, like the darkly lit room. We're going full into this like body horror stuff. Felix that had an actually good like a good reaction, given that in the back of his mind he actually knew that like next to him was Anastasia and all of that, and they were planning this trap because they expected them. So yeah, great stuff, really. I love this shot, right? Like the focus on her and like Felix on at the corner of the screen being out of focus, and like the arm reaching into like that, like connecting the two of them is really great. And we talk a little bit about the dragon's blood. You want to know how to heal a meat scrap who's lost to dragon blood? Don't know? Well, that's what I want to know. That because this is like of some concern to you for some reason? Like you want to heal yourself, you want to heal somebody who's important to you, right? It's like, I don't know, that's okay, but it tells us a little bit something about what you like, what concerns you, right? Which is like, I don't know, I would like to know. I think I need to like I need to kill the lamp I've got here, because apparently it's not loading fast enough to actually support it throughout the entire runtime of an episode. Sorry about that. It's not a biggie, I know, but it annoys me if it blinks in the back and I only notice it after a couple of minutes. I do hope it doesn't annoy you too much. But yeah, this was really cool. That's quite enough, and we have like the like super quick head turn in shock, and then like the magic missile coming in. Really cool. And we do see like, why didn't she change clothes? Can we like talk about that? Like the disguise would have been so much better if she changed clothes as well, but yeah. The rapidly healing stuff. The acting proxy representative of this city. Which is an interesting information because it might be important to the cause of like the witch cult and whatnot. She gets like the rock pulled from under her basically. And we have like a pit in which she's falling. But she still doesn't know where the journey will take her, right? Like magic missile in the face, falling down, being like, alright, I'll get you, and then Alice stepping in, like with the focus pole coming in, being like, don't worry, not gonna show mercy either. Sword into the frame. I'm pretty pissed today. You better get your ass out of here before I die, you damn mollusk. First of all, mollusk, that term kind of seems familiar. I don't know what that is. But anyway, he's like, you better get your ass out of here before I die. Okay. Something we should maybe know. What happens when Al dies. I don't know if we will know, but that's very interesting considering that Al is supposedly from Japan, like isekai as well, and that Subaru can return by death. So does Al have a power too, right? Okay, more Regulus fighting. Really cool creative shot here, right? Like running away Regulus. Very cute, very cute. Turning around, right? Seeing nobody behind him, really cool, right? We have like the looking back shot, and we basically look in the direction his view is going. And Reinhardt is so fast that he almost doesn't notice him. Foot into the face. Right into a couple of walls. Really great stuff. I think they improved a lot since look at all the fucking walls he's going through. Yeah, I think they improved a lot since the times of when Betelgeuse got catapulted back by Julius at the confrontation of season 1. Right, that was decent animation too, but I think they are doing a really great job with animation at the moment. Why are you going with Plan I first? Like, is it named after something? Like, Subaru's naming schemes. I can't. Cool animation once again, right? Putting your hands together, weaving a spell basically, right? And all of these little like magic balls flying or magic missiles flying into like a set position. We have like an actual like Gurren Lagann style like peak explosion, and then we have all of these circles, these like power circles here, and they're expanding basically, and suddenly everything is like flowing into a giant mass of ice where it's like, what? Hello? But that's cool stuff, right? The way we animate that. Even just like that, the way the structure looks is really cool. Also really strategic of Reinhardt to give Subaru the sword, because he can actually defend himself with the sword. Yeah, you show him, Amelia. Right in the face. Look at that. Look at that fool. Look at that fool. Grinning. A perfect individual. And obviously it's going directly against what she stands for, right? Like empathy and making people happy, and that is exactly the opposite of what he is about. He's like making himself happy, and everybody else has to adhere to his control due to that. He's like, I absolutely hate you. And look at this face. Who designed this face? It's so cool. It's so funny. And he's developing new levels of jank. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like this animation too much, but I don't know how you could display it differently, right? Like, it looks weird, but maybe it's supposed to look weird, because it's weird that a mass of order is suddenly just solid for somebody, for some unexplainable reason. And the very interesting thing is like that he's like he's putting it like down and it kind of just starts bursting at the seams. And like the water drops are so quick, I guess, like, or the masses of water are so quick that they hitting Subaru would probably kill him. At least that's what I assume, right? It's crushing rock. Love this with like the ice skating and whatnot, and we're being really creative. But yeah, he's like, the only way I can say that is reverse moonwalking, right? Moonwalking is already reverse, but like this is like the reverse of that. He's just walking on the ice, just sliding weirdly. I wonder why she's giving him the lesser spirit. But yeah, we take the crotch shots, we take everything, and we have a real like animation pieces here with the hair flowing and everything. Everything really snappy and all of that, right? Him going through the wall. A lot of goofy stuff happening here. Plan K, Reinhardt coming in, right? Putting him in harm's way of his own attack, which is kind, like I said, it's kind of clever, right? Like, it's like, maybe he can hurt himself, right? And that's how you figure out how does it even work, right? Like, what's capable of hurting him and why would it be capable of hurting him, right? I think it's very interesting. I don't know if that's an artificial moment, right? Because she's like just pointing out things that she knows about him from like the time she spent. And she's mentioning that like little king thing. And then we have like the epiphany that some of us might have already had, which is like all of these names. Sirius, Capella, Alphard, Betelgeuse, right? All of them are star names. Subaru too, by the way. Subaru is a star name. Like, I mean, it's not a star name, it's a cluster. The Subaru cluster is the one of the biggest clusters of stars that exist, I think, as far as I know. But yeah, Subaru has a couple of alternate names as well, much like Betelgeuse has alternate names, and also Sirius, or like in this case, Little King, which I think is Leo, the Leo star cluster, is like, that is Subaru and his star knowledge for some inexplicable reason coming in handy, right? Because he was kind of like a nerd when it comes to stars and whatnot when he was in, like, before he was isekai. So it's very, very interesting that this comes in handy right now. So obviously that also gives you a little bit food for thought about the lore of the world, right? Why are all of these archbishops so like named after stars? Why Subaru himself named after a star? I mean, it's not like Emilia is the name of a star or Priscilla. It's not, right? So what's like so special about, like, it's not like every character in this series is named after a star. It's just very specific characters. Find out if his heart is beating and he's like, shit. They got me, right? But we switch over to Priscilla, which we still bathe in the fires of wrath. I was wondering if, because I didn't remember that clearly, if Liliana was affected by it or not, but we do see immediately that she's like connecting to her. And Priscilla says like being an empath can be really good, but it can also be really bad, right? And in this case, it's really bad for Liliana. So she stops her, and she stops her like this. I'm like, I mean, whatever floats your boat. She seems pretty happy about herself here. I brought you back to your senses, and even more so gave you pleasure. She's like, this is a win-win. I just accept it. And she broke the spell. Why she broke the spell? How she broke the spell? I don't know. I mean, Reinhardt was able to do it, right? So there must be specific abilities or like characteristics, and maybe also just strong emotions that are contrary to what you're feeling right now, maybe, or like just like focused on somebody else that could take you out of that. So I don't know. Well, we don't have an explanation yet. I love to see her angry, to be honest. Like, that's like just because it like shows that she's just not just like, she's not just annoyed or bored. She's like really, I mean, there is some care for people behind that facade, right? It's, or at the very least for the order of things, for like twisting people to your will, where she's like, nah, right? This is stupid. Stop with your bullshit, right? I mean, maybe it's just because Sirius is opposed to her in that specific way, but I think it's definitely just like also her seeing it as a responsibility that to uphold that order. I've never seen her, like, she was never a criminal or whatnot. And she looks down, interestingly enough, she looks down the most, at least openly, to Feld, who is the criminal, right? Basically, in like among the candidates, she's the most like associated with the criminal, with like the lower classes and the people who are criminals and petty thieves and whatnot. Yeah, great animation here. Interesting how we in the intro we do have Amelia fighting against Sirius in that manner. We don't have Priscilla, but here we do have Priscilla. Really cool how we like stay dynamic with it. She's like moving very quickly as we see what the moving ground and whatnot, and her just like basically floating in the air for those shots. But she's very aware of her environment, and she's countering that with her sword strikes. Really cool that she's a fighter. I think that kind of like goes against her stereotype, right? Being just like a rich bitch who can't really like, who can't defend herself, who's pampered and whatnot. That goes directly against that assumption that most of us probably had from her in season 1. Sirius just stomping into the ground with that, following it up. But yeah, your fight won't be easy against her, really. Ooh, I love that, right? Like that like, the foot in such an interesting position, right, in the frame, basically. And her just turning on her heel, basically, or no, it's not the heel, it's the front foot, right? But her turning, right, and that's frustration here. Is like, damn it, I don't want to do it, but I guess I'll have to do it. Everybody else is brave right here. Not. Almost getting her hair cut off here. I love how we're like using like real like natural seeming movement patterns, where she's like holding this one with her power, right, and then she's striking it down. Really cool, right? How we smudge the face as we get closer, right? Like perspective changes, eye shot. Sword clashing with... Normally that wouldn't happen like that, right? Like if chains clashing with sword, it's basically the chain will wrap itself around the sword. But in this specific case, we want to express that the chains have very much, like a lot of force behind them. And that she's reflecting them in a way that's kind of just abrasive, right? It's not allowing for the wrapping to happen. And here she has it in her hands, of course, as well. Interesting how the sword seemingly bends, but it actually doesn't. It's a straight sword, so... For your heart to close itself tightly, just what could have happened? There's no need for me to share the workings of my heart with you. And this is how she sees it. It's very interesting how her keeping a shell actually helps her in this way. But I think it's more than that, right? Like, she has displayed more than once that she's actually very capable. We don't know what exactly she's capable of beyond her sword skills, so... I love these, like, movements, or like, I wish to save you, like, open arms and whatnot, right? Like, shamelessly prattling. It's just... Oh, look at that face. What the fuck? Iris and the King of Thorns. She said something that upset her here. A little lip quiver and like frustration, aggression, and find out if his heart is beating. And we are going in with a quick strike. Interesting how we don't paint one of the eyes, like let him appear threatening. But Ryan is like, alright, dude. And he doesn't care. Like, you're right, your heart isn't beating. He's just like putting this man into the stratosphere. And now we're here with what Subaru knows best how to do. Talk shit. And I love it, right? He knows exactly how he can manipulate him into being distracted, into being like, right, into being angry enough to actually not want to outright kill him immediately, but kill him slowly, right? Show him who's boss, because that's what he needs, that air of superiority. He needs to, before he kills him, he needs to show him that he's the one who has the upper hand, which opens the door for Subaru to stall and to point out his weaknesses and all of that, right? Love the shadow work here, right, on the side of his face, being serious, him being like, this is like a victory moment for him. Yeah, right, that's it. That's it for ReZero, episode 10. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I can't wait what we get to see next in terms of like the action and what's actually gonna happen, and obviously the pacing as well, right? Because I don't know exactly which scene is gonna happen when. A light novel is way different from that. You read an entire chapter about something and then you step to the next one. Although, like, I gotta say, top-paced light novel is also, partially at least, it's following kind of like a script writing kind of thing, where we switch scenes more often than you would in a traditional novel, probably. But, I mean, what is a traditional novel, right? Like, there's a lot of novels out there who do it like that. I don't know how we pace things. Pacing things in a way to put it into a format of a 20 to 30 minute anime is obviously always going to be different than pacing something just on your leisure and thinking about how big the chapter is, and that's that. So I can't wait to see what happens next and how our eyes are going to feast next time. Shout out to everyone who's watching these, despite me knowing the story, kind of. I don't know everything, like I've probably demonstrated a lot of times. I'm still like sometimes trying to remember things that are happening because it's been pretty long, and also like I only know like the rough drafts of it. It's been a really great journey for me going through it again and rediscovering things that I had forgotten, and also just like recontextualizing things that maybe the first time around I wasn't as aware of. So that's really cool. And I do hope that like maybe once the action is winding a little bit down, we can go further a little bit into maybe the characters and the dynamics as well. I mean, obviously we've talked about it a lot up until now, but I think I would be repeating myself if I did it now, because I've talked about it in like Core 1 a lot, about how our characters developed and whatnot, and I would just like be adding tiny spots to that. So it's better for me to just point it out when it happens, and otherwise maybe after a bunch of time passes and after we're past the action, after we have some like really choice moments that we can actually be like, okay, what does that mean for us, right? What's the great thing about that, and how would this character react? I mean, we did it with Regulus a little bit, always kind of putting that out and being like, the way he acts, it kind of makes perfect sense for the kind of character he is. But I mean, I'm in the beginning I really was curious why he isn't Pride, but I mean, greed makes sense to a degree. So there's a lot of overlap between Pride and Greed, I think. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Shout out to all my patrons, and till then.